Hello, everybody. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Show, and we are clinging on, managing to just about keep up. This is the Championship preview for game week 45. Obviously, game week 4 last night. I was on a live stream, and this morning I've done the review, and now we're straight onto the preview for the next game week. My God, at least we know what's coming in game week 46. Everyone plays on the same day, so a little bit more time to get this out. But I'll just say thank you for everyone who's continued watching, even though it's a lot of content. It's a lot of work this end, but I really, really do appreciate everybody who's been watching. Normally, this would be done as a live stream, but obviously I'll be live streaming later on the Huddersfield and West Brom game, which could see Leeds promoted. I've prioritized that as a live stream over this, given the possible implications of that game. So normally we would be doing predictions within the show. Obviously, you can still get those predictions in the live chat, as we'll put this up as a premiere, or in the comments. I would love to still see your predictions on all of these games this game week. As ever, I have just said thank you for the support. But if you just read down the bottom, you can financially support the channel via the super chat feature. Just go to the live chat and you'll see the dollar button there. You can support via Patreon. Hoping to try and go either part-time or, my God, full-time with this would be wonderful with your help. And if you don't want to support financially, which is absolutely fine, please just hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment, or even better, go and subscribe to this channel on YouTube, because very soon that little black thing that my missus made me can hopefully go up to 10,000 subscribers. We're only around 100 or so away from what is a big milestone that I will be quite proud of when we are done. Anyway, there's some even bigger milestones that we're about to talk about with this load of game week fixtures. Game week number 45. It's nearly all over. Friday night, tonight, Huddersfield versus West Bromwich Albion. Then on Saturday, 2 early kickoffs, Charlton, Wigan, wow, Stoke, Brentford. So those first 3 games have got a fair bit riding on them, haven't they? Goodness me. Into the 3 o'clocks on Saturday, Swansea versus Bristol City, Blackburn versus Reading, Hull versus Luton, wow, Borough versus Cardiff, Preston versus Birmingham, QPR versus Millwall, Fulham versus Sheffield Wednesday. Then on to Sunday, and if they are not already promoted by then, Leeds need 1 point at Derby, and then it's Barnsley versus Forest in the last game of game week number 45. We're going to go through all the fixtures one by one, so do top up your predictions as you're going and get them in to the comments. Let's look at the form table first of all today, just to see if we can see any big outliers. I think we all know who's in the most form. Obviously, Brentford having this mass winning streak. Leeds the same. Wigan, incredible. Look, even before lockdown, they were outstanding, but since coming back as well, look at that, 13 points in the last 6 games. Sensational. Only defeat there was to Brentford, wasn't it? Fulham, brilliant as well. And there are West Brom doing just enough. If you look, you've got 4 teams over 2 points per game. West Brom just under it, and that has been just enough. Although you will see that over those past 6 games, Brentford have taken 7 points out of West Brom. If the season went another 5 games, they'd probably catch them, but it's not. So we'll see what's happening. Millwall, nice, look at that. 9 points in the last 4 as well. Impressive from them. Cardiff clinging on in there. Forest, they'll want more than that going into the playoffs. Warnock, he guarantees it, doesn't he? Look, 9 points in 6. Swansea, that might be the reason they don't make it. Reading on the beach, as Bristol City probably are now after a little splurge. Sheffield Wednesday, well, they need more with possible FFP. Derby, falling off a cliff with 3 defeats in a row. Stoke, maybe just about enough there to survive. And then we get into the lower echelon here. Huddersfield, well, it's all draws and clean sheets. Barnsley, ultimately that 1 win in the last 6 is probably going to cost them. Preston, that's been a long dip in form now, longer than those 6 games as well. Charlton, look, 3 defeats on the trot in the middle there, not cool. QPR on the beach. Blackburn, shame. Could have been in the playoff picture without that bad run. Hull and Birmingham. So no real massive outliers there. Everyone's form kind of pertaining to where they are in the table. I suppose Wigan's the one, isn't it? But hey, we all know that story, don't we? Game number 1, Derby versus Leeds. Let's reiterate the situation. If tonight West Brom do not beat Huddersfield, Leeds are promoted. If tomorrow Stoke get anything against Brentford, Leeds are promoted. And then if it even gets that far in this game, Leeds need a draw against their old foes, Derby. In for goal there, have them at 61%. The bookies a little bit further back at 52, which is strange because you'd think there'd be a whole ton of money go on Leeds. But however, I suspect everyone's going to wait in terms of the betting markets, in terms of the context of what this game actually means. And I'm sure if they're already up, maybe you might start seeing some money go on Derby, just purely because Leeds will not need to win any more. Interesting matchup. Costa stretched it off last game. Phillips out, and that did provide some problems for Leeds, didn't it? Derby is not the same Derby team that beat Leeds in the playoffs. I know there's this needle between the two clubs now, but Lampard's gone, Keogh's gone, Bryson's gone, Roos is no longer in goal, Tamori, Mount and Wilson are not there, Marriott will not play. It's a very, very different team than, reeled off 6 or 7 differences there. And we've had this influx of new young players, Sibley, Bird, Lowe, Knight, probably missed one, all in the Derby team now. So could be an interesting one, but will anything even be riding on it? I think it's hard to make a prediction on this one until we know whether Leeds are playing for promotion or they're already up. Let me know what you think in the comments. In terms of Derby, there is the league table. They, sadly for them, can no longer make the playoffs. Mathematically, they can, can't they? They can draw level with Cardiff on points, essentially. But look at it, it's not going to happen, is it? Minus 7 goal swing would be needed as well over 2 games. Cardiff need a point to rattle them off, or even just 1 Millwall win would see Derby out of the playoffs. It's not going to happen, is it? Right, let's move on. Huddersfield versus West Brom. Huge game tonight. Lots of money on West Brom. West Brom essentially playing for promotion now. 2 wins and they are definitely up. So lots of money with Betfair, but in for goal less so. 40% chance to a 32 would say that the Boffins think it's going to be quite tight. Recent form, well, they're unbeaten in 5 and there's 11 points in those last 5, but we know everybody else, even Fulham, have been outscoring that. Look at Huddersfield's last games as well. 0-0, 0-0, 2-0 home defeat, 0-0. They're trying to just squeeze themselves over the line in a very, very defensive way. So, all of you Brentford fans wanting that automatic spot, all of you Leeds fans wanting promotion to be sorted tonight, the obvious avenue is a 0-0 draw, isn't it? 0-0 Huddersfield, another Brom could be very defensive from the areas, but it does seem to have been working, doesn't it, over those past few games? They've not been scoring, though, so you'd think a West Brom goal could kill this game off. We know the situation there for West Brom. Let me just remove the banner, in the top right there, which is covering up the points totals. If you are West Brom and you draw this game, you know Brentford can overtake you tomorrow, and they have 8 straight wins. The pressure's on there. You also know by doing that, you promote Leeds, as 2 teams would then not be able to catch Leeds by that point. A win and everything's looking rosy. All the pressure back on Brentford, and then potentially just that last game. I think home to QPR as well. This looks more of a banana skin than that does, put it that way. In terms of Huddersfield, the 0-0s have been working after a fashion, haven't they? 48 points, but we know there's a scenario where a defeat for Huddersfield with -16 on the goal difference means that either Hull or Luton, who play each other, could draw level on points, but would be way behind on the goal difference. And Wigan or Charlton, who also play each other, could move above them. They know points will be dropped, but they also know someone will be scoring points. That draw for Huddersfield would just make all the difference, wouldn't it, there? But also what might make the difference there is that big goal difference advantage that Huddersfield have got. Get your predictions in via the comments. Brentford, 8 wins on the trot, but they still can't get into the top 2. They're only 1 point off. Lots of money on them with Betfair there, 57% predicted chance, 47% from Info Goal. Not all as straightforward as it looks. Stoke tend to do better at home than they do away from home. And Stoke still have good players, don't they? It's been a very bad season and a very bad couple of years in terms of managers coming in, retooling the squad, and then the next one has to come in and pick it up. And, it's been very, very chaotic there. Complete opposite of Brentford, who've been on this nice little upward climb. Pattern of play all sorted, recruitment good. People go, but other people are already in there, ready to work. So you can see another Brentford victory in this one. Defensively, they've been good as well. You think people like Klukas with long-range shots, set plays, big votes. There's ways that they can do damage, but Brentford aren't as flaky as they have been in previous years. So get your predictions in there. Again, the situation for the Bees, well, they have to win, don't they? Unless West Brom are beaten by Huddersfield, in which case a draw would put Brentford into the top 2. But the context of this game is completely skewed and given to us by whatever happens tonight in West Brom Huddersfield. Anyway, get your predictions in. Fulham, well, I guess they're just sitting there hoping that either Brentford or West Brom have a slip up. And if that happens, then they need to win to try and capitalise on it. Sheffield Wednesday are in an interesting position. They've had 2 wins in 6. Their form's not terrible, but there's just this sense that the distance between them and the relegation zone isn't quite big enough to absorb a potential FFP penalty if they are found guilty. Let's look indeed at Wednesday. Down there, you can see 56 points. If they were given a 12-point deduction with the gap as it is at the moment at 11 points, they could drop in the relegation zone. I retweeted a great thread by Peter Lerman on Twitter. Lots of information about the Sheffield Wednesday situation. Check it out. Fulham look like they're going to be in a playoff against Forest, but stranger things have happened. For example, a West Brom defeat, a Brentford draw, and a Fulham win, and they still have a chance on the last day of getting the top 2. Unlikely, I think, and I think most Fulham and Forest fans are preparing for a playoff against each other. We saw that game very, very recently, didn't we? Fulham winning at the City Ground. Barnsley versus Nottingham Forest, who we just mentioned. Barnsley creating a load of chances at Leeds, not getting any of the efforts on target and testing the goalkeeper there. And you can just see those past 3 games, only 1 goal. They need to put their shooting boots on for all the plaudits they're getting for creating chances. What's the point if you don't stick them in the net? Forest are the exact opposite. They don't create many chances, but they're incredibly ruthless. Amiobi, the latest, their 2 great goals in the last game. We know Graben and Lolly have been fabulous for chance conversion rates. Interesting game, this one, I think. I suspect Barnsley actually would prefer to play opponents like Leeds or Fulham, teams of that nature who want to play possession, than they would Forest. I think Forest might have enough to sit there and pick them off. Looking at the table in terms of Forest, they just need, from Millwall's maximum upside is 71, so they just need 1 more point, or 2 actually, to guarantee playoffs, don't they? It looks for all the world like, unless they have a very bad last 2 games, they'll be playing Fulham in the playoffs. But maybe this is a Lamucci master plan, a slow finish, and they get Brentford, who they've done the double over this season. Who knows? What a bizarre conspiracy theory that would be. Down the bottom there, Barnsley. Well, they're not out of it, and as I always say, when we're judging the relegation zone against the top 6, we know that the direction of travel is much slower and the points per game is much slower, isn't it? So you would think that a draw, they'd probably still be in it on the last day. And I think if you're Barnsley at the moment, you just want to be in with a shout on the last day, despite the fact I think that they play Brentford on the last day, which might not be helpful. But look, you want to be in with a shout, don't you? However, a victory here, and they could be out of it, couldn't they? If results go their way, given the goal difference, then a Luton and Hull draw, and they would go above both of them with a win, although they'd all be tied on 46 points. You could also get Wigan and Charlton drawing, in which instance Barnsley win and those 2 games being drawn. Look at that. You could have 46, 46, 46, 46, 47 going into the last game. Charlton would have 48, wouldn't they? But certainly you could have 4 teams tied on 46. Wow. Get your predictions in Barnsley Forest. Borough Cardiff. Cardiff still need points, don't they, to guarantee that playoff position. They look like they are in pole position. Well, they're in pole position because they're in 6th place. Warnock will get you wins, won't he? There's defeats, but it doesn't matter. 9 points in 6 games has been plenty enough, and it looks like Borough are safe. Is Warnock unhappy about the way he left at Cardiff? Who knows? He certainly has very good knowledge of the players there and their potential strengths and weaknesses. So it'd be an interesting one here. Cardiff need, if they draw and Millwall behind them win by 2, in fact, on goals scored, very, very tight there because goal difference would go the same by 1 goal. It could go above them, couldn't they? So you think Cardiff need to win this game, don't you? And I'm sure Warnock is not going to make life easy for them. Down at the bottom again, I just think those 3 teams on 50 there, Stoke, Borough and Birmingham, given Hull are playing Luton and Wigan are playing Charlton, I think they're safe on the basis that 2 teams minimum are dropping points below them, guaranteed before the last day of the season. So I would suggest, not that they would want to put their feet up, and Mr. Warnock won't have it, I would suggest Borough are getting close to being on the beach there. Get your predictions into that one, Borough versus Cardiff. QPR have been on the beach for a while. Millwall certainly aren't. Look at that. 9 points in 4 now, 11 points in 6. Very nice stuff. I did see the return game of this one. Good performance by QPR to win one of Neil Harris's last games there. Infogol think this is very evenly matched, 37% versus 35%. Will the pragmatism of Gary Rowett triumph over maybe the open nature of a Mark Warburton team? Millwall, again, if we ping up the league table, all to play for them. Any slip by Cardiff and a 2-goal win for Millwall would put them in there. Obviously, a Cardiff defeat and any type of win then puts Millwall up there. The issue you've got is Millwall are draw heavy, aren't they? 17, that must be the highest in the division without looking at the bottom half of the table. Could it be too many draws? All right, drawing 16 games when you're West Brom, you've only lost 6. But you just wonder whether that might be what scuppers Millwall in the end, whether they're going to draw 1 or 2 of these final duo of games. Get your predictions in QPR versus Millwall. Swansea v Bristol City. This is very much the dying embers of both teams' playoff push, isn't it? Swansea there, just 1 point in the last 2 games against fierce opposition in Leeds, and Forest hasn't been enough to keep up the chase, despite their back-to-back wins prior to that. Bristol City, speaking of back-to-back wins, had them. They were on an unlikely push under Dean Holden after Lee Johnson's sacking. However, they've just tailed off a little bit. Again, looking at Bristol City, they're in 10th. They can still make it, but it's unlikely. They need win, pretty much a double slip up as well. Look at the -4 goal difference. So I think Bristol City are done, aren't they? But Swansea are not. Any slip up from Cardiff, who visit Middlesbrough, which is tricky. Millwall visit QPR, and Swansea win this game. And they're looking good again all of a sudden, but they are relying on others now, the Swans, to even get close, aren't they? Get your predictions in. Preston versus Birmingham. I think Birmingham are safe now, given that late equaliser over Charlton, not necessarily due to Blues points total there, but more due to the fact that they very much damaged a rival there. Look, Charlton would have gone to 49, level on points with Birmingham, and that would have all been stretched out just that little bit more now, wouldn't it? So Birmingham sitting on 5th. We're expecting a Jude Bellingham announcement to be made today. So I think Birmingham probably going to be okay. Just do with one more point from the last 2 games. Preston, again, like Bristol City, could still make the playoffs, but I think they're probably in roughly their natural position between 8th and 11th, aren't they? Very good at home for much of the season, but haven't been able to do jobs in either away games or, against difficult opponents. That said, get your predictions in. Preston versus Birmingham, probably making favourites for this one, and that gap closes up again. There you go. Blackburn versus Reading. Right, this is a definite on the beach here, isn't it, for both teams now? Reading had a nice little splurge, didn't they? 7 points in 3, but then lost at home to Borough. Blackburn haven't had a good last 6 games, have they? Only 4 points, which has seen them drop out of the playoff picture. By the way, I happen to think that Tony Mowbray has done a good job, and that for them to be in the top half is decent, and they've been competitive as well. I hope that doesn't sound too patronising, but I think Blackburn have done a good job, but they now cannot make the playoffs, cannot go down the definition of on the beach, as with Reading there, 56, nicely clear. So roll on, either a 0-0 or a 4-4 in this one. There's the normal on the beach mantra. Right, here come the 2 big ones. Charlton versus Wigan. Wigan, outstanding form, right up the top in the form charts, even above most of the top 4, isn't it? I think it was only Brentford above them in the form charts. They're on a fantastic tear. I've called it the greatest escape if they get deducted the 12 points and then still stay up. And at the moment, they are staying up. However, Lee Bowyer has been able to pull out results from this Charlton team, hasn't he? It just seems to be something in the air at Wigan. Look, they came back with 2 straight wins. You can't see the first one, which was away at Hull, but only 2 points from the last 5 games. That goal at Birmingham, 93rd minute from Jukovic, absolute killer for Charlton. However, they've got a 2-point cushion, and from a Charlton point of view, they're going to be hoping that it's a it's a shootout, and other teams are going to trip each other up, potentially Luton and Hull. But we do have a scenario here where if Wigan beat Charlton, they will go to 48 points above Charlton, and if there is a winner in the Hull versus Luton game here, then Charlton would be in the bottom 3. For Charlton, a point would be invaluable, given, look at the goal difference there, way ahead of both Hull and Luton. So that point, and then there is a winner in the Hull-Luton game, Charlton would still be out of the bottom 3. But they've got to get a point against one of the informed teams in the division. When you get down to these last day of the season shootouts, possession is so 9/10 of the law. You just want to be in that position where if the clock stops, you're out of it. And just that draw might be enough. That said, who would back against Wigan? Remember, their last game against a direct rival was against Hull, and they won 8-0. So, yeah. Get your predictions in. Your brave man to back against Wigan at the moment. Hull versus Luton, just massive, absolutely massive. Hull are in horrible form and have been for a long time, despite that quick splurge, that last-minute winner against Middlesbrough, a stoppage time winner. Warnock's going to go for it, and left open, didn't he? Could have beaten Birmingham as well. They had the lead 2-0 as well at one point in that game. But look, since 4 goals against West Brom, well, they're a good side. 2 against Bristol City, went under to a great goal by Millwall, but then 8-0 in the last game. What has that done to their confidence? Look at Luton's last 6 there. It's decent. It's 9 points. In fact, 1.5 points per game for the rest of the season. They would have been absolutely fine in the middle of the table somewhere. But you just worry that, okay, the draw against Leeds was great, but that they led in both of the home games against QPR and Barnsley and drew both of them 1-1. Just one win in either of those games and things look very, very different. Let's bring up the table one more time. I don't need to tell you how massive this game is. Both tied on points. If there's a slip up in the other game by either Wigan or Charlton, then a win would take them above whichever team slips up. I guess from a Hull and Luton point of view, you would want Charlton to beat Wigan, and then a win would put a 3-point gap in between whoever wins out of Hull and Luton and Wigan. So that's the scenario. You'd be going then into the last day with that 3-point gap, which could make all the difference. I think we're going to got Fulham on the last day of the season as well. Although it could be a dead rubber for Fulham. They're likely to just be confirmed in the playoffs. Huge game. Hull versus Luton. Good luck predicting that one. Although Luton very much a team in much better form than Hull have been. But it's the Championship. Let's just bang through those fixtures one more time. Some huge games. West Brom could go a long way to get themselves promoted, or by dropping points could get Leeds promoted. Charlton v Wigan, massive game at the bottom. Almost winner takes all in some of these games. Brentford, can they keep winning to keep that pressure up and go into the last day still with a chance of automatic promotion? Swansea Bristol City has the air of a dead rubber, although Swansea still could make the playoffs. Blackburn Reading, definite dead rubber. Hull Luton, massive, one of 2 or 3 huge games. Borough Cardiff need points to maintain their 6th place. Preston Birmingham, air of a dead rubber, although Birmingham still just slightly be looking at their shoulders. I think they're safe. QPR Millwall need the points, dead rubber for QPR. Fulham Sheffield Wednesday. Fulham, well, I guess they need to just keep winning, don't they, to keep up the form going into the playoffs, and any slip by the top 2 and maybe they can either take 3rd place or, God forbid, 2nd, however unlikely. Derby Leeds, well, Leeds could already be up and it could be a complete dead rubber or a point for promotion. And then Barnsley Forest. Both sides need points. Could Barnsley elevate themselves off the bottom of the table? That is the game week 45 preview. Again, thank you if you've kept up with all the content. I know there has been loads. You have my admiration if you've watched even a third of it, because there's been so much of it. I do appreciate everyone getting involved, and please get your predictions in. All a little bit of fun. And as I said, it'll just slow down a little bit. Once we're done with Sunday, we then actually have a rest of Monday and Tuesday without any Championship games. The first day in what seems like forever without any, or 2 days without any football. Just a quick plug again. I'll put this up as a premiere so you can view the live chat, which means you can super chat and contribute to the channel. You can also contribute via Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. If you do not fancy contributing monetarily, then hit the like button, especially if you lasted 28 minutes into this show, and comment on the video, and also hit subscribe on YouTube. We are closing in on 10,000 subscribers. Wonderful stuff, wonderful support, wonderful end of season here in the Championship. I'm loving it. I'm sure you are too. So just keep with the content. We'll go right through to the end of the playoffs and all the way through the close season. And we'll be back before you know it with more Championship football. Thank you, everybody. You can also follow on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom and on Instagram. And I'll see you later tonight, if you've managed to keep up, for Huddersfield versus West Brom live coverage before halftime and after that game. A game that could see West Brom get within 3 points of promotion, and could see Leeds promoted if West Brom do not win. Massive. Over and out. Thank you for watching.